Since Russia's sweeping invasion of Ukraine sparked in February 2022, the CV90, a Swedish-crafted tracked infantry fighting vehicle from BAE Systems Hägglunds, has solidified its place as a cornerstone of Ukraine's Western-furnished arsenal. Arriving in early 2023 through Sweden's military support, the CV90, mostly the CV9040 model with its powerful 40mm Bofors autocannon, rolled in with an initial wave of roughly 50 CV9040C units by mid-2023, following tough training for Ukrainian crews in Sweden. This launched a joint global push to enhance Ukraine's mechanized strength. Denmark partnered with Sweden in December 2023, combining efforts to finance and provide about 20 more CV90s, backed by a $263 million deal including spares and upkeep support to keep them running. The Netherlands raised the stakes in June 2024, injecting over 400 million euros into a Swedish-Danish fund to build 180 additional CV90s, with some production moved to Dutch facilities, targeting first deliveries in 2026. Ukraine itself entered the manufacturing fray, signing an August 2023 pact with Sweden to co-produce up to 1,000 CV90s at home, a daring step toward autonomy in a grinding war. Sweden's June 2024 order for more CV9s for Ukraine keeps the momentum going. By March 2025, an estimated 70 to 75 CV90s have reached Ukraine, a count primed to rise as these international efforts mature, all fielded solely by the 21st Mechanized Brigade. Since its combat entry in June 2023, the CV90 has been plunged into Ukraine's eastern and northeastern battlegrounds, supporting infantry in the fierce Bakhmut zone, bolstering defenses near Kupiansk, and by early 2025, engaging Russian forces near Toretsk in Kharkiv, near the border. Teamed with Leopard 2 tanks and Archer artillery, it anchors elite Western-equipped units built for fast, decisive strikes. Its wartail blends tenacity and toil. The 40mm cannon rips through aging Russian armor like T-62s and BMPs. Its advanced composite armor and Barracuda camouflage, cutting thermal traces by up to 70%, thwart drone and artillery hits. Near Siversk, one CV90 endured a Lancet drone strike and a 120mm mortar blast, crew intact, a nod to its design. Yet, war extracts a price. Oryx records 5 CV90s lost or damaged by early 2025, including a July 2023 loss near Kreminna, abandoned after an RPG hit and taken by Russia. Of the first 50 units, 2 are confirmed wrecked, 3 impaired, a 4 to 7% loss rate reflecting the fight's harshness. No crew deaths in these cases highlight its protective strength, a lifeline in Ukraine's wearing struggle. With 70 to 75 delivered and 5 lost, Ukraine likely fields 65 to 70 active CV90s, assuming few unreported losses or repairs. This small fleet bridges a gap between Ukraine's brittle Soviet-era BMPs and lumbering tanks, its 550 to 1,000 horsepower engine mastering muddy fields and rough terrain, outrunning older foes. Sweden and Denmark's logistics keep it rolling, though its rarity limits it to units like the 21st Brigade. Beyond numbers, the CV90's strategic role is a proving ground for Ukraine's military shift, especially if local production grows. Compared to peers, Ukraine's BMP-2, with its 30mm gun and weak armor, buckles under FPV drones and ATGMs, losing hundreds. Russia's BMP-3, with a 100mm gun, swaps agility and defense for power, shedding over 600 per Oryx and Lachmarki. The US-supplied M2 Bradley, with over 200 cent, pairs a 25mm gun with TOW missiles, excelling against tanks, but lacking the CV90's 40mm range. Germany's Marder 1A3, about 100 in Ukraine, mounts a 20mm cannon and lighter armor, trailing in force and toughness, with losses mirroring the Bradleys. The CV90's Barracuda shroud and sturdy build lift its endurance, though its modest fleet and older models temper its kill count versus the Bradley's tank hunting, or BMP-2's mass. Ukrainian crews praise its night optics and terrain agility, leaps over Soviet relics, making it tops in stealth and flexibility. The CV90's deeper worth in Ukraine lies in its tactical and symbolic punch. It's a force amplifier for the 21st Brigade, enhancing combined arms in a war of fixed lines, drone swarms, and shell storms. Its firepower downs infantry and light armor. It takes hits that shred BMPs, and its mobility tackles land that halts heavier rigs. Yet with 65 to 70 units, its scope is precise, not vast, a contrast to the Bradley scale or BMP-2's flood. Future upgrades like CV9035 or Mark IV with ATGMs could sharpen its anti-armor edge. For now, it's a stepping stone to a westernized force, its durability forged in mud and fire. Drone-heavy combat tests its flaws, Lancet strikes sting, but its thermal masking and crew survival rates offset risks. Ukraine's co-production plan with Sweden, aiming for 1,000 units, sees the CV90 as a bedrock of a rebuilt military, possibly standardizing its IFV fleet with Scandinavian precision and battlefield grit. Culturally, it's more than steel. Ukrainian troops, moving from Soviet clunkers to Western tech, embrace its dependability, calling it a Swedish shield in field tales. Its presence hints at NATO's growing shadow, boosting morale amid brutal losses. Russian propaganda toots captured units as triumphs, but the CV90's low loss rate dulls such claims. By March 2025, it stands as a vivid symbol of Ukraine's defiance and adaptation. A machine not yet decisive, but laying tracks for a mechanized revival if production scales and losses hold. It's a beacon of resilience, its path pointing to a future where Western aid and Ukrainian resolve merge.